So what I wanted to do, just because we hadn't had any questions in advance, I just want to have a chat with you a little bit about puppy socialisation, what it is, and also what the common mistakes that people make when they're socialising their puppies. Now, chances are you have heard that socialisation is one of the most important things that you can do for your puppy. And I think it's something that people tell you a lot about, that, oh, it's so important that you need to do it to have a nice, well-rounded, balanced puppy. But no one really talks about how to do it. So hopefully we can get a little bit of idea from today's live what that looks like. So the first thing that you should know about puppy socialisation is that the key period of time that we've got to sort of really kickstart that socialisation is between 3 and 16 weeks. So a lot of the socialisation should have been started by your breeder. So if you haven't got your puppy already, it's well worth doing your research when you choose a puppy as to what that breeder is doing with the puppy, what sort of experiences they're having, and what kind of environment they are being brought up in, because that is going to have a big influence on them for that later stages in life. Obviously, between that time, 3 and 8 weeks, puppy will be with breeder, so you won't have as much control over what's going on. But the likelihood is that between 8 and 9 weeks, you are going to bring your puppy home. And that is going to be the time that socialisation with your puppy should really begin, okay? So that critical window runs up until around 16 weeks. What I want you to know is that at 16 weeks, that window doesn't close for good, and then you can never socialise your puppy to anything ever again. Socialisation is an ongoing process. The time that the puppy's brain is most mouldable and the time that they're going to be most open to new experiences and where those sort of brain connections are going to form is between that early stages. But after that 16-week period, they will still learn things. They are still going to take on new experiences. You just may find that things just take slightly longer than they would have done if they had been earlier on. Okay. I don't like the word socialisation personally. I think the word socialisation suggests that our puppy needs to meet every single person, every single dog, and that couldn't be further from the truth. When you're looking at socialising your puppy, what you want to look at is the quality of the interactions over the quantity, okay? So you may have seen checklists where it says, oh, your puppy needs to meet 100 people or 100 dogs before the time that the critical window closes. I would be looking at like 1 in 8, possibly, depending on the quality of those interactions. One of the most important things that we can do when socialising our puppy is to go at our puppy's pace. The whole point of socialisation is that we are forming positive associations between our puppy and the world and its environment. And so if we rush that puppy, the chances are that we're going to end up with a puppy that could be fearful or anxious. So we want to go at our puppy's pace, and we want to pay attention to the way that our puppy is responding to the environment so that we can adjust things accordingly. So we can either advance and speed up that interaction that our puppy is having, or we can actually take a step back and slow things down so that puppy has time to kind of take things on board. The other thing that we often make a mistake with is that we think that for socialisation to occur, an interaction or a physical interaction has to occur. Now, a lot of your puppy's learning is going to come from just viewing and watching the world. A puppy doesn't have to go nose to nose with another dog for socialisation to occur. Neither does a person need to interact with your puppy. In fact, I would be particularly careful when you are maybe carrying puppy in arms, particularly in those early stages. If people are coming forward to touch your puppy, stroke your puppy, he has nowhere to go, or she has nowhere to go. So it's just being mindful of not forcing those interactions, and just know that socialisation is still being effective, even though a physical interaction hasn't actually occurred. Now, So we know that we want to go at puppy's pace. We understand that that we don't want to force those interactions for our puppy. The other thing that we need to think about is what we are socializing our puppy to. I think I've already done it myself. I've talked about dogs and I've talked about people, but we often forget about everything else that our puppy is never going to have met or seen before. So I like to think of the 4 S's. So we have sights, we have sounds, we have smells, and we have surfaces. So we want to be trying to introduce our puppy to a wide range of all of those things at your puppy's pace in a positive way. And we want to consider what it is that our puppy is going to be meeting potentially throughout its life. So one of the exercises that I like to do with my clients, particularly at the very beginning, is look into the future, see what life with your puppy is going to be like. So for instance, if you're going to be going to the city every weekend with your dog and you want your dog to be able to relax in that kind of environment, then this is something that perhaps we need to be building into that socialization plan early on so that we can start building up those positive experiences. We need to be ensuring that we are reinforcing calm behaviour. Behaviours that we reward are behaviours that we are likely to see more of. So if you like it, you're going to want to mark it, you're going to want to reward it, and hopefully you'll start seeing a little bit more of that. Another mistake that we make is ignoring body language. I will put together a piece for the group on puppy body language, but I think the thing to take away is look at your puppy at home when they are confident and they're in a safe environment. What's their body doing? What's their face doing? How are they carrying their tail? I like to form this picture, particularly of like what your calm and relaxed puppy looks like. And then we can start pointing out and looking for behaviours when perhaps they're a little bit anxious. Does their tail fall between their legs? Do their ears come back? Does their body stiffen? All this kind of stuff that we want to get into tune with so that we can start reading how our puppy feels about a particular environment. The final thing that I'll talk about, and then I will try and work out what the hell is going on with these comments, is don't wait for your vaccinations, full vaccinations. We obviously need to take precautions. I wouldn't be putting puppy down in high dog trafficked areas. We need to be mindful of the diseases that they can pick up. But before they have their full vaccinations, we can do carry walks. So you might want to put them in a rucksack. That's what I did with Branston when he was little, up until a point, and then they get really heavy. But you've got rucksacks, you've got slings, shopping trolleys if you go to garden centres are also great. You can make a little den for your puppy in the bottom and let them view the world from there. Your fabric carry crates are great as well for taking puppy out. Blankets, picnic blankets, sitting in the back of the car with them in the boot, watching the world go by. There's lots of things that you can be doing without putting your puppy at risk, but whatever you do, don't wait until they're 12 weeks to get them out there. Particularly between that 8 and 12 week period, we want to start the socialization at home, but we also want to be getting them out and about safely as well. If you are unsure of how to do that, or you don't feel comfortable or confident doing that, drop me a message and we can look at sort of what we can do to help you out with that. Right, I'm just going to read this comment on here. We've got Becca. Advice for calming puppy 7 months down on walks. She's so overexcited, it's hard to train or reinforce calm, correct behaviours. Walks aren't very enjoyable. Fine before Christmas, but since. Oh, and stealing things. She counter-surfs and constantly pinches the kids' toys. Gosh, is she a spaniel? No, what is she? Sounds like my spaniel, that's why I say that. Is she a spaniel? Let me know in the comments what breed she is. So let's unpick this. So advice for calming puppy 7 months down on walks. Okay, so 7 months. So we're kind of tipping into that adolescence phase now. You find when those puppies get older and they move into adolescence, it can sometimes be quite difficult for our brains to understand our dog's behaviour because they, depending on the breed, but they start looking like adult dogs, but their puppy brain is still 100% sort of is there. Their lizard brain, they have no impulse control, life gets super excited, and any sort of brain cells go out the window. So I would say that you're making that transition into adolescence, which is why things have potentially got more tricky. So she's so overexcited it's hard to train or reinforce calm, correct behaviours. So I think it's probably worth us talking a little bit here about sort of our puppies or our dogs' emotional states. So when our dogs are in a good emotional state, so that's probably when they are at home, they're not overexcited, they're not sort of fearful or anxious, they're able to learn and they're able to take on board what we're saying. We've then got two different ends of the spectrum. We have the anxious and shut down end of the spectrum, which doesn't sound like your puppy is in, but again, not a good place for learning. And then we have that overexcited kind of crazy, over-aroused period as well, or that area, which it sounds like your puppy is potentially flipping into. Now, when they go into that area, or when they become what we call as trainers over threshold, they can't concentrate anymore. So I'm not surprised that you're having difficulty with sort of reinforcing behaviours or even capturing the correct behaviours, because you're probably not getting many because environment is just too much. So fine before Christmas, but since. So can you pinpoint anything that might have happened between Christmas and now other than that age change? That's one thing that I would consider. What sort of behaviours are you training at home? So whenever we're looking at training a new behaviour or reinforcing a behaviour, what we want to look at is the environmental factors and whether or not they are able to sort of concentrate in those environments. I think what I would recommend for your puppy is we need to be reinforcing and solidifying those behaviours in a calmer environment. So that might be at home, it may be in the garden, it may be on a street walk if that doesn't sort of make puppy so over the top. And then once we've kind of proofed those behaviours in those environments, we can start translating them to these sort of more exciting environments. There's also engagement games that you can do again in these lower distraction environments, because as soon as we put them in that distracting environment again, we are going to struggle because their brain is not in a place to learn. So the learning needs to happen at a place where they are calm and when they are able to process what it is that we're teaching them, and then we can ramp up the environmental distractions and test our training essentially. And you may find that one day you're fine at home, you'll then take that behaviour outside, puppy will be able to concentrate on that day, and then you may find actually on a different day that's too much and you have to take that training back. So it's really worthwhile just keeping an eye on what environments it is that's kind of tipping her over. The real learning needs to happen before that point, and then we can test the behaviour in those environments. You say that walks aren't very enjoyable, and we can always take this offline to kind of unpick it, but are we having lots of like pulling towards other dogs, to people, loose leading? I'd imagine has gone out the window. Let me know what kind of things you're experiencing. Stealing things, counter surfing, pinching the kids' toys. Okay, so a couple of things to watch out for here. I don't know how old your kids are. I have a 6-year-old, and particularly with the Spaniel, it's been an absolute nightmare. So counter surfing, easiest thing is prevention. I say the easiest thing when you have a busy household. It is not particularly easy because there's always stuff out on the side, etc. But where possible, I would manage it. So pushing everything back to the back of the work surface so puppy can't get to it. Consider a stair gate on the kitchen as well if possible, so that you can manage when puppy can go in and out. And then from a training aspect, what we would want to train with that one is like 4 paws on the floor. So it may well be if you count out like 20 treats at the beginning of the day, or 20 bits of kibble if that's what you're feeding throughout the day, just reward puppy on the floor. So I wouldn't feed to mouth, I would drop it down in front of them on the floor, for just having 4 paws on the floor. But I would say particularly with that, management is going to be the first port of call, because unfortunately a behaviour that gets practiced gets reinforced. So the more things puppy wins off the side, the more likely it is that they are going to want to do it. Pinching the kids' toys and things, I have started having drop boxes in every room. If things aren't going to get put away, have a box in every room. Tell the kids, again, depending on their age, that if you're going to leave their stuff unattended, or as you walk around, things that are on the floor put in the drop box, and then they get put away at the end of the day. Again, it just kind of like helps stop things lying around on the floor, which means that puppy's not able to pick it up, which means that you're then not practicing that behaviour. One thing that we need to be really, really careful of, and again I can drop some resources in, is if puppy is stealing things, what are we doing when puppy steals things? Because what we don't want to do here is create a sort of a resource guarding type problem, which could escalate to a bigger problem down the line. So we should never be taking anything out of puppy's mouth, chasing puppy to try and get whatever it is that they have. We want to be looking at either swapping it out for something of a higher value, so puppy never feels as though something like they've been hard done by, or that whenever you approach them, like either with hands or just walk towards them, that you're going to take something from them. So you either want to swap it for something. If you've got a leave it or a drop, that's great. If not, you can do sort of a counting game, or even just looking at the floor and kind of be like, oh, what's this? What's this? And then you walk to somewhere, oh, what's over here? And the chances are they're going to drop what they have, or at least come and investigate what it is that you have got. So definitely have a think about how you're managing it when puppy has got something, because again, what we don't want to do is create this kind of like resource guarding. I did this. My spaniel is, what is she now, 7 years old, and when I got her, I did not know what I was doing. I had dogs when I was a kid, but she was my first dog as an adult. And I had kind of created resource guarding in her because I used to take things out of her mouth. I didn't used to swap things, so I would panic that she had something and I would take it from her, and then I may throw her a treat. But actually the result of that was that she actually got to the point that she started stealing and swallowing items. And I won't tell you the amount of times that I have ended up in out of hours vets to have something like removed. Luckily it's never gone surgical, but during lockdown we were there because she had swallowed an entire IKEA soft toy kiwi fruit in front of me, and it was one of those moments that it happened and I was like, did that really just happen? And then yeah, out of hours vet, I think it cost me like 600 quid, and it could have all been avoided if we had put some steps in place to prevent that resource guarding. So again, chat to me offline if you want some tips on that. Let me know how old your children are as well, because we can either get them involved, or again, there could be some management that needs to happen there so that everyone can interact safely. With retrievers, we've not had a puppy with children before, which I think has heightened her excitement, and we have to manage her getting rest. Yeah. It's the moment the lead appears. Okay. Alrighty. So, kids and puppies. I think we have this wonderful notion, don't we, that when we get, we have this notion of what that is going to look like. Was it there's 5 and 7, Miss 7 comes to puppy obedience trainings, I think, the 2 weeks of Christmas. Oh, bloody hell, Christmas holidays sent me over as well, let alone dogs and kids. So that's the thing, right? Christmas is an intense period anyway. And if you think about the amount of excitement that went on in your household, I wouldn't be surprised. Puppy's routine probably went completely out of whack. Kids were super excited. There was probably shit everywhere. Sorry, excuse my language. I am a bit of a swearer. Yeah, so there was probably stuff everywhere. Puppy probably won loads of stuff that you didn't want her to have, and things have just kind of escalated from there. There is some education that can be had for the children in terms of like the way that they interact with Puppy, just sort of reinforcing for them calm behaviours, breed calm behaviours from the puppy, and that all the time that you can kind of manage calmer games in the house or appropriate games in the house, just to kind of encourage calmness, basically. I think I was lucky when I got Branston, so he's now 2. Archie was 3.5, so it wasn't too bad because he wasn't overly sort of interested in him. But I'd imagine that your kids really want to get involved, and there's ways that we can get them involved, but with keeping things chill. Let's have a look. Oh, your 11-year-old dog doesn't play with her, and doesn't tell her off. He puts up with it. Yeah, and again, I would, depending on how much that's going on, make sure they've got enough space, each of them. Particularly if he's not going to correct her and she's just going to keep at him. You don't want to get to the point where she's kind of pissed him off to the point that he feels like he has to react. So I would just make sure that doesn't get too OTT. Give him plenty of space, and her as well. Is she sleeping? I would say is the other thing. Obviously she's a little bit older, but we need to make sure that she has time to switch off in the day. We have another Amy, 7-month-old cockapoo. Your chat just then made a lot of sense for his behaviour just lately. What is the best place to start in getting in the front door without being jumped upon? Excitement. He is in the hall or whilst I'm at work, so when we're coming home it's becoming hard. Yeah, so jumping up again. It's one of these really reinforcing behaviours. I'm going to come back to what I said earlier about behaviours that get practiced, gets reinforced. My question back to you is, what do you do when he jumps up? So bearing in mind, you have just come in, you're probably quite excited to see him. Is there any behaviours that you are doing that might be reinforcing his jumping up? So have you tried just completely ignoring him? And when I say completely ignoring, I mean no verbals, so no offs, no downs, nothing like that. Literally just nothing until he's calm. Is that something that you've tried, and has he responded to that at all? You have to let me know. Let's see. I'm painting her as a savage beast. No. Oh, I bet she's lovely. They always are. I always joke that it's a good job they made them cute. I often say that about my son as well. It's a good job they made you cute, otherwise I think I would have eaten you alive. I need not to pay attention to him until all paws are on the floor. Yeah, and look, it's really freaking hard. Because you've not seen him all day, so of course you want to make a fuss out of him, and that is fine to do, but I would wait until he has four paws on the floor. The other thing is, you say that he's in the hallway. Is there any way that you can put a barrier between your door as you come in and like in the hallway? So at least if you come in, you're not mugged straight away. So then he can calm down and then you can speak to him. Okay, what's this? trying to get in through the door, 2 girls in tow and an older dog too. 2 girls, children, girls, dog girls. I'm thinking children. And an older dog too. Yeah, okay. And I'm assuming that when the girls come in as well, they probably want to say hello to him. Just wait for that. Yeah, so I think in the first instance, try not to reward it with any attention. Lots of praise when he's got 4 feet on the floor. Have a think to see if there's any way that you can create a barrier to the door just to give you time to go in. And then it could even be that you can kind of do a treat toss away or something just to give you space to come in. And then again, similar to what I was saying to Becca about the rest of the time, reinforcing those 4 paws on the floor at other times. Yep, 2 girl children. He was in the kitchen, but our neighbour complained with him barking. Okay. But he settles better in the hall. Oh, bless him. Yeah, so if he is struggling a little bit with being on his own, that greeting is probably like almost like a anxious energy of like, oh my God, you're back. And he's just lost his mind. So yeah, try the ignoring, see if you can get the kids on board as well. Nice, calm, like calm behavior from you. So again, when you come in, ignore him. Once he's got his 4 paws on the floor, then it's going to be nice, calm stroking, calm language. I think this sort of, if you come in and you're like, oh, I've missed you. Oh, have you had a good day? You okay? He's going, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. So just try and bring everything down, all the energy down. And yeah, reward him for when he's got his paws on the floor. I think jumping up has come up a couple of times. So again, I can pop some things in the group about that. An exciting lead, what's this? Okay, so the other thing that I would say, particularly with these puppies, is that they are learning through association and they learn through patterns and pictures. So you're probably finding that they will start picking up on your cues without you even realizing. So in terms of that lead, as soon as he sees you pick it up, if he's already thinking, or she, right, lead equals we go to the door, I get that put on, we go out and have a great walk. So it could even be something as simple as you pick up the lead, you give her some treats, you put the lead back down. Because you're kind of breaking that association between every single time I pick up the lead, we're going out for a walk. But it's actually, sometimes when you pick up the lead, I get a toy game, sometimes I get a treat, sometimes it doesn't mean anything. You're kind of adding a little bit of that, oh, like, what's it going to mean this time? So you're kind of breaking that chain of behaviour of, I see a lead, we always go out for a walk. It could also be if you've got the time, if you are about to take her out for a walk and she is just so mental, you put the lead on, that you actually take the lead off and you put it back. You wait until she's calm, you then try again. And you don't give her sort of like the reward of the outside until you've got the calm behaviours in the house. Again, there's always some management in here because I know it's not always convenient to be able to sort of put the time in, particularly if you've got children and life is a rush. Sometimes we just have to do the thing. And I completely understand that. Hard few weeks. Yeah, and I think also, like, let's not forget the time of year. We've just got through like the longest January in the world. I know it's the same length every single year, but it feels really long. So January sucks. February we're halfway through already. I think as parents as well, like half term is coming up. So I don't know if you're already thinking like, heck, what am I going to do with like the kids and the dog? And it just adds that extra level of like, and tension to us. I think the thing to remember is that having a puppy or an adolescent dog is really hard. Like, it is really hard, particularly when you're trying to do things right and you're also trying to manage like your interaction with the dog's interaction with the kids, like the dog interaction with everything that's going on outside as well. And then when you combine that with like just the mental load of parenthood, motherhood, work, everything else, it's a lot. So be kind to yourself, show yourself some compassion where you can. You are doing the best that you possibly can. But yeah, reach out. Do use the group. I set up this group as a way of supporting people, even if it's just like a rant. Like, there's a couple of you here that have 7-month-olds with similar sort of issues. So support each other. Like, have a little rant. Tell me how much you hate the dog. That's fine. I will not judge. I will not take it personally. But it's hard. Like, I have 2 dogs and a 5-year-old. I am running this business. I actually work part-time at the moment as well and doing something else. And it's just a lot. It's a lot of pressure, and particularly when we are trying to prevent future problems with our dogs or our puppies. I think we have this romantic notion in our mind when we get them as well as to what life is going to be like, and then it takes time to get there because puppies go through all these different stages. And yeah, it's just hard. It's really hard. So exactly, we said to our neighbours we were at home for 3 weeks, so we had us at home for that time, illness too, so it's been a lot for him, but it makes a lot of sense and exactly made me think of a possible way worth a go. Yeah, presumably he's not crate trained. That could be another option if it's not something you've explored before. Creating a den for him so he's got like a safe space. Sometimes if they've got too much freedom, it can actually add to the anxiety because they don't have that kind of like clear boundary of what's theirs. Or a pen. Could a pen in your hallway? I don't know what your house is like, but maybe putting a pen up somewhere where he's got his own little space might be something that you could try as well. We struggled with the crate. She'll sleep on one, but so stressed if put in during the day. Okay. He howled all the time. He's fine at night in the crate, but during the day he loves being with our older dog. He's like his security blanket. Oh my gosh, that's so delicious. Yeah, so okay. Follows us from room to room. Yeah, so I think there's still time to build up that crating in the day. It's going to take slightly longer than perhaps it would do starting with a young pup. Quite a lot of work will need to be done to build up a positive association with that, with the crate, and also just building up that separation from her gradually. I think separation is something, again, we'll have a little look at. It can be quite sort of difficult to manage, and it's not something we want to sort of, it was horrendous as a young pup. She was just so distressed in it. Yeah. Oh, that's hard. So they sleep in it overnight, but in the day they are loose, penned. I'm just trying to look back. Okay, when we go out, and when you go out, is she happy in the crate, or are you not sure? Do you think she barks? Sometimes having a camera on could be either a good thing or a bad thing. I've had cameras on in the past, and when you look and they're absolutely fine, it's wonderful. But if you look and they're distressed and you realise that you're actually like 40 minutes from home, sometimes it's not as helpful. She sleeps the entire time. Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to follow back on these. Oh gosh, it sounds like you've been so through such a lot. We've got, but she settles fine in the day now. Yeah, I'll have to pick up on some of these messages because they've all gotten a bit of a jumble, but I'll have a little look over them and I'll reply afterwards, just to see if there's anything else that I can pick up on and help you out on. One thing that can be really useful, particularly with our young dogs, is getting them used to particular phrases. Sorry. Right, I think that has sorted itself out, but let me know if you can't hear me. Um, yeah, I can hear you and no feedback. Okay, so it's just in my ears. Um, So get your puppies used to like everyday phrases. So for instance, if you are just about to pop out of the room and then you're coming back, let your puppy know, I'll be right back. Or say, I'm going to the loo. Now, I know you're going to think, oh my God, I can't speak to my puppy all day, and you don't have to speak to them all the day. But what I would say is that by getting them used to some common phrases, what happens then is they start building up that pattern again. So, oh, she says that she's going to be right back, and then she does actually come back. Now, obviously, they don't understand the words, but they start recognizing the phrases. So, it could just be that if you step outside the room, I'll be right back, and then you step back in and you give them a reward, and then you might pop out again, I'll be right back, and then you come back and you give them a reward, and they just start getting used to your patterns and what it is that you do throughout the day, and you're just building that confidence with them for that separation. So that's particularly something that I would do if I had a young puppy. I would be recommending that you start sort of getting them used to these type of things. So like, let's go outside, let's go to bed. You want to keep them the same so that they actually recognize them, but it just might be something to try, particularly with the separation side of things. um, so what's this? I think the only downtime the pup gets is when the kids are in bed. So yeah, I think there's definitely always some management that needs to be done with the kids and the pups. It's not so much fun for us because we want the kids to be able to enjoy the dogs and we don't want to be policing it the entire time. But I think having some sort of rules in the house, making sure that like when the puppy is resting, that the puppy is left to rest, and also just keeping an eye on the tempo of the games that are being played so that puppy doesn't get too over the top. Just in case anyone watches this back with younger puppies, I think 7 months, you're probably still going to have the same thing. The more over aroused they are, the more excited they are, the more likely it is that they are going to turn bitey. You may get flybys when they kind of run by and swing from a pajama leg. Um, so these are just things to kind of consider when those interactions are taking place. And it may just be a case of having to remind the kids to kind of tone things down a little bit. And there's ways that we can kind of present that to them so that they are kind of like on board and can understand about puppies' emotions a little bit more as well. We got any other questions? Also, let me know if there's anything that you would like me to go over. If you want me to drop a video into the group or anything like that, I can. Like I said, created the group here for you guys, to try and support you the best that I can, because I know that that particular sort of puppy stage into adolescence and beyond can be quite a nerve-wracking and anxious time. So whatever I can do to kind of help you through it, and even if it is just like a sanity check, particularly as well from a dog mum of two and a human mum of one. I understand some of the struggles that you're going through. Um, and my two have certainly not made it easy. Actually, I like Ruby's not made it easy, the spaniel. Branston has been absolutely delightful. He's like an old man stuck in uh, a young puppy's body. lucked out with him. But yes, Ruby was a challenge. Okay. Well, if there is nothing else coming through, I'm going to let you go. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your questions as well. And like I say, keep the conversation going. Drop things into the group. Drop me a DM if you want to talk about something one to one, and we can throw some ideas backwards and forwards. But yeah, whatever I can do to help. Oh, and drop a picture of your puppy in the group as well, because I would love to see the monsters that you were all talking about. No, I'm only joking. I bet they're not monsters at all. They're delightful. But yeah, don't think thank you. It's been a really good chat and nice to hear not my own. No, you are certainly not on your own with dogs and kids. 100% got you back. So yeah, let's throw some ideas out there and see that what we can do to make life with kids and dogs more enjoyable for everyone involved. All right, I'm gonna see if I can end this. I mean, oh my goodness, tech phobe or what? Right. Good night, everyone. Have a nice evening.